work, hard work, hard work, work. There you go.
Forward!
Hard work, hard work, hard work, hard work, hard work, work. There you go.
Forward!
Hard work, hard work, hard work, hard work, hard work, work. There you go.
Forward!
Hard work, hard work, hard work.
Fall in.
Hey, what's good? What's good? What's good? You know who it is. It's me, your boy Trey. Hey, thank you for being with us this morning. Come on and fall in. E2G Sports Networks presents First Formation Morning Sports Talk. Fall in. Y'all heard the intro. Early in the morning. Hard work, whatever y'all doing. We appreciate y'all being able to sit right here in your cubicle, in your office, on your run, whatever case like that, and be able to check us out. Even if you can't watch, you for the most part can always listen with us this morning. Gladly appreciate y'all coming in. So get to the formation, so we can get ready and get started. So this morning, not much really going on some aspects. Let me see where I'm going to start at. Matter of fact, let's just go straight to the NBA. We'll get to the NFL talk soon enough. A little to go on in there. Of course, last night there was a few games. I think 12 games last night. 12 games to be exact, in which we're going to go through all 12 of those games, pointing out a couple of things here and there. So, of course, just if anything else, feel free to tap in and give your opinion, help out if need be. So, over the course of the last couple of games, there's been a huge influx of just scoring barrages, people going at it, a player or two turn it up. Astounding numbers when it came to it. I think for the most part, all 12 games, there wasn't many blowouts. I think it was maybe two or three blowouts or something like that. But for the most part, they were all pretty close games. Of course, the first game of last night, the Cleveland Cavaliers hosted the Phoenix Suns. Hosted the Phoenix Suns. For the Suns, of course, they leading scorer 25 points, 4 rebounds, and 8 assists. Poured in from Chris Paul, 15 points, 1 rebound, 1 assist, 18 rebounds. DeAndre Ayton, 10 points apiece. Mikal Bridges and Dario Saric, 4 rebounds, 7 rebounds, 4 assists from Bridges, and 4 rebounds, 1 assist from Saric. 14 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists from Landry Shamet, as he has taken on a huge role due to the fact that Devin Booker is still out. 4 points from Tony Craig, 6 points Ish Wainwright, 2 points Cameron Payne, and Damian Lee, 2 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists. For the Cavaliers, just the other day or night before last, Donovan Mitchell 71 points in his game. But in the same, brung back to earth a little bit, as it wasn't even a high score, but he did score 20 points, 6 rebounds, 9 assists in a back-to-back, 21 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists from Karis LeVert, 7 points from Isaac Oroku, Jared Allen, 2 points, 8 rebounds, 6 points, 8 rebounds, and 1 assist from Evan Mobley, 14 points, 2 rebounds, Raul Neto. Kevin Love contributed with 6 points, 8 rebounds, and 1 assist, and 2 points from Lamar Stevens, as the Cleveland Cavaliers do get the win, improving 25 and 14 on the year with a 90-88 2-point win over the Phoenix Suns, who are now 20 and 19 on their year. What's good, Anthony Price? What's going on, man? Glad to have you information, brother. I don't know, man. So you know what? This is the trip thing about it. It's funny how we do that, Anthony. We ask the questions just to be kind of know like what is going on for real. As we know, Anthony Crowder, Jay Crowder, who is still currently a Phoenix Sun, a well-able body. He's not injured or anything like that. he just felt like his role with the Suns was diminished, and that he wasn't appreciated, and he wants out. Of course, contracts don't make a difference. It doesn't allow him for that for the most part. So they're looking at probably like, what if they can't get anything back for him? Then what's the significance of waiting? Or maybe they're waiting like, okay, we're going to keep Jay Crowder in our wheelhouse and decide to trade him at the deadline because he's due to be a free agent next year anyway. And so they're supposed to let him walk, but or they could maybe they don't value Jay Crowder like that to where they see or think that he's a that type of dude. So I at this point, Anthony, I don't know what they're gonna do with the man. Obviously, of course, it's mutual for them not to play him and just to pay him. But he's sitting there, or maybe they're looking at if they take on or get any more issues or problems or injuries, maybe bringing them back or making it a more of an effort to get rid of him, to bring back someone that's willing to play and to send him on his way. So I guess you could say it's still developing for the most part, but since before the beginning of the season, it's been a problem. And here we are at 30 plus games in the season, almost 40 games for them, and halfway through the season for them, and yet we still are waiting to see what's going to happen with Jay Crowder to give him an opportunity to go somewhere else and produce or help out with teams trying to make the playoffs. So I'm very sure it's still the developing process, developing case. In one of the only games that was for the most part a blowout, the Charlotte Hornets hosted the Memphis Grizzlies last night, in which the Grizzlies did get the win, 131-107. With that loss, the Charlotte Hornets fall to 10-29 on the season. The Hornets led by 23 points from LaMelo Ball. He also had 12 assists and 4 rebounds, 21 points, 3 rebounds, and 4 assists from Terry Rozier, 15 points, PJ Washington, 16 from Jalen McDaniels. Additionally, other players, Dennis Smith Jr. Contributed with 7 rebounds, 7 points, 2 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 points, 2 rebounds for JT Thor. Mark Williams, 4 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists as well to contribute. The Grizzlies, led by Ja Morant's 23 points, 1 rebound, 8 assists on the night, 18 points, 2 rebounds from Dylan Brooks. Jaren Jackson Jr. contributed with 17 points, 8 rebounds, and 1 assist. 19 points from Desmond Bane with 11 rebounds and 4 assists to go along with that. 10 points to Xavier Tillman. Also, the rest of the roster filled out. 8 points from Santat Aldama, 2 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists from John Koshard, 8 points, Tyus Jones, 9 points, David Roddy, 3 from Kennedy Chandler, and Zaire Williams with 5.6 rebounds in 7 minutes of play. That's pretty efficient for 7 minutes of play. So the Grizzlies continue to go on 24-13 with the dub and starting to continue to climb back up the Western Conference standings as people tend to fall or take L's there. It makes it viable for other people to get back into it. Another game last night taking place. The Indiana Pacers and Philadelphia 76ers. So this was a game that did not have Joel Embiid as he sat out nursing a injury, but was he really needed? Yes, he was actually. Particularly, he was needed. It wasn't the easiest of games, but however, Indiana was able. I mean, the 76ers was able to pull one out, winning 129-126. With that win, Philadelphia is 23-14 on the year. The Pacers dropped to 21-18, but still 3 games above 500. That's what you prefer to be. The 76ers led by James Harden's 26 points, 6 rebounds, 8 assists, 19 points, 5 rebounds, 1 assist from Montrezl Harrell, 13 points, 3 rebounds, 4 assists from Shake Milton. George Niang contributed with 11 points, 1 rebound, in his 17 minutes of play. 19 points apiece from Tobias Harris and D'Anthony Melton. Harris, 10 rebounds, 3 assists. Milton, 7 rebounds. PJ Tucker, 7 assists on the night. And Tyrese Maxey, 17 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists for the 76ers, as the Pacers had 7 players in double figures, but obviously that wasn't enough to get the dub. But like I said, they only lost by 3 points. With their loss, of course, they dropped, like I said, 21-18, led by Buddy Hield's 24 points, 9 rebounds, 6 assists. Buddy Hield has, for the 17th time this year, has hit 5 3-pointers in a game. So pretty efficient. Only person to do that this year has been Steph Curry. But he led the field 19 points, 4 rebounds, and 2 assists from Benedict Art Matherin, not including what would have been a game-tying field goal had he converted it. But he was blocked by James Harden coming up late after they thought he was beat on the baseline. 16 points, 12 rebounds, 12 assists, 7 rebounds from Tyrese Halliburton, 12 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists. Andrew Newhart, Miles Turner, 14 points, 8 rebounds, 1 assist. Aaron Nesmith, 11 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists. 3 points from Jose Brislett. Jalen Smith, 17 points, 6 rebounds, 1 assist. 6 points, TJ McConnell, and 4 points, Chris Duarte. In a reduced role, 11 minutes on the game. So 76ers improve. Indiana drops a little bit, as we just talked about yesterday, where we was talking about Indiana kind of has taken a step back. They was a hot scorching team at one point. I think they got to be 4th or 5th in the league. I mean, in the conference, in their conference, taking more of a little backseat now. But it happens. It's not. It's still a lot of basketball to be played, and we'll continue to see. Last night, well, those who paid attention after seeing the Oklahoma City Thunder throttle the Boston Celtics with over 150 points, 150 points scored in the game. I guess again, too much energy expended, or just a back to earth moment. They was only coming with 115 points as they lose to the Orlando Magic 126-115. With the win, the Magic moved to 14-24, 10 games behind, below 500. The Thunder 16-22 with their loss. But stuff happens. The Thunder led by Shai Gilgeous-Alexander as he makes his debut back from as he didn't play in last night's game. The night before last game. 33 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists. 16 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists for Josh Giddey. Lou Dort with the 13 points, 1 rebound, 1 assist, 2 rebounds. 11 points, 2 rebounds from Mike Muscola, 12 points, 9 rebounds, and 1 assist. Kenrick Williams, Trey Mann with 2 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, and 2 rebounds. Jalen Williams, 3 points. Jalen with a Y, 3 points. Jalen with a L, 4 points, 3 rebounds, 4 assists on the night. On the opposite side of the ball, Paolo Banchero led the field, 25 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists, 18 points, 3 rebounds, 1 assist for Gary Harris, 13 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists from Markel Fultz. Cole Anthony, 6 rebounds, 6 points, 3 rebounds, 6 assists, 10 points, Mohamed Mo Bamba. Terrence Ross contributed with 18 points, 5 rebounds, and 3 assists, and RJ Hampton, 12 points, 4 rebounds, 1 assist in his 23 minutes of play. Orlando, I guess you could say, not completely out. I can't say. I guess at this point you can't necessarily say any team is completely out when it comes to because there's plenty of times for a team to catch fire, get to rolling. As we've seen, think about it, the Brooklyn Nets for the most part was starting to get I guess you could say, dirt toss on them early in the season. When you look at how they weren't gelling or mesh together well, and they changed management and things start clicking for them. Some people come in and made some different calls. As you know, Jack Vaughn came in as a coach, made some moves, changed the game plan for him a little bit, and they start rolling and clicking along to where they strung together a large win streak. So it's not late for all these teams that's out for the most part, that's down right now. They can make it happen. It's not likely, but it's possible they can make it happen. Another game last night, the San Antonio Spurs were hosted by the New York Knicks, in which the New York Knicks was able to put out a 3-point win, winning 117 to 114. Knicks led by 38 points from Jalen Brunson, 7 rebounds and 6 assists on the night from Mr. Brunson, 13 points, 25 points, 13 rebounds, and 3 assists from Julius Randle, 14 points, 2 rebounds, 1 assist, Quentin Grimes. And Emmanuel quickly contributed 15 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists for the top scorers in New York. As for the Spurs, they was led by Keldon Johnson, 26.7 rebounds to 2 assists. So Keldon Johnson seems to be establishing himself as a guy, that dude in San Antonio. 20 points, 3 rebounds, 4 assists from Josh Richardson. 14 points, 4 rebounds, 6 assists. Trey Jones, 15 points, 2 rebounds from Doug McDermott, and Zach Collins, 16 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists for the top scorers in San Antonio. With the loss, San Antonio falls to 12-26 on the season. New York Knicks improved to 21-18 as they tried to keep pace in what is considered or being seen as a more of a competitive division at that part. I mean, not division, conference at this point with the but they have top players, Boston, and Milwaukee in their conference, who have been blistering the league. Speaking of the Bucks, they were hosted by the Toronto Raptors last night. What's good, Kenith? How you doing, sis? Glad to see information this morning. Hope your day is victorious and illustrious and all those things. Glad to see you with us this morning. Milwaukee Bucks. 104-101 over the Toronto Raptors. With that loss, Toronto drops to 16-22. The Bucks improved to 25-13. Of course, led by it. So interesting enough, this game was actually in hand for the Bucks. The Bucks was running. It was over. It was like 4 minutes left in the game, and Toronto went on a run. Like they basically, Toronto in 3 minutes knocked out 21 points and made it a game to where they had Milwaukee on the ropes. To Van Fleet finished with 28 points, 12 rebounds, and 8 assists, 22 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists from Gary Trent Jr. Scotty Barnes, 19 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists. OG Anunoby, 14 points, 9 assists. So all that in the last 3 minutes was paramount because they, like I said, they were, in my opinion, they had Milwaukee shook because Milwaukee didn't know what they could do. They couldn't stop them. They had no way to knocking them off. They just went on a run. I think they finished like with a 20 in those 3 minutes. In 3 minutes, they ran with a 21-7 run, or was it more? Correction, I think it was more, 21-6. So 21-5. That's what it was. A 27-5 run, in which basically tied the score with a little less than a minute left in the game. And then they kind of jostled back and forth. And, of course, Milwaukee finishing with the 104-101 as Giannis Antetokounmpo found Grayson Allen on the right corner, had knocked down he was wide open, knocked down a 3 and gave him the 1 point, the 3-point lead, and didn't let go of it at that point. The Bucks Giannis's 30 point, 20 rebound, 10 assists, triple double, a 30 20 10 night, another accomplishment for him. 14 points, 12 rebounds for Bobby Portis, 15 points, 6 rebounds, 1 assist from Pat Connaughton, 16 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists from Grayson Allen. Brooke Lopez with a 9.19 rebound, 10 assists night. And then Marjon Beauchamp with 10 points, 4 rebounds, and 2 assists in what should have probably been a loss for the Milwaukee Bucks, but they were victorious. You know what? For a second, pause and with these scores, when you look at that, right? For me, I look at it as a team deserves. Well, no, not a team deserves that. At that point, when you're going like that, especially if I ain't got no skin in the game, I'm all for seeing what is or who is a favorite take an L. If you're a favorite, and obviously Milwaukee was, and you're up at 4 minutes by 21 points in a basketball game, or let's say even in a football game or baseball, whatever, if you're up by 4 minutes, if you're up at 4 minutes and you're able to string along and put together a run that puts you back in contention to win the game, at that point, from a drama standpoint, I'm pulling for the underdog at that point. Like, let's make it dramatic. Let's make it something that could be talked about. And that's what you had. So I was all for Toronto giving Milwaukee that L in overtime. But I guess, like I said, expending too much energy, just that time ran out. You got to think this is without them having Spicy P or Pascal Siakam, their top scorer in Milwaukee. In Toronto. So hats off to the Raptors for their performance last night. Additionally, the New Orleans Pelicans faced off with the Houston Rockets, in which the Rockets tried it, but no cigar, falling to the Pelicans 119-108. Houston dropping to 10 and 28 on the night. Pelicans 24-14. The Rockets, led by everyone, was actually pretty close. 5 points, 6 players in double figures. 16 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists from Jaylen Brown. 16 points, 2 rebounds, 1 assist from Kenyon Martin Jr. Kevin Porter Jr. 11 points, 5 assists and 3 rebounds, 14 points, 13 rebounds and 1 assist from Jabari Smith, 13 points from Eric Gordon, Alperen Sengun, 13 points, 4 rebounds and 5 assists to lead the Rockets. The Pelicans, 28 point, 1 rebound and 6 assist effort from CJ McCollum. Contributors, 16 points apiece from Najee Harris, as well as Jonas Valanciunas, 17 rebounds and 2 assists on the night. Najee Marshall, 7 rebounds and 4 assists, 14 points and 1 assist. Trey Murphy III, and Willie Herman Gomez, 14.7 rebounds and 1 assist. Jose Alvarado, 13 points, 2 rebounds and 5 assists. That basically helped the Pelicans to succeed and win like last night. Other game, Portland Trailblazers fall just short of getting their victory, losing to the Minnesota Timberwolves at a score of 113-106. Trailblazers, led by Dame Lillard, 27 points, 4 rebounds, 6 assists, with 26 points, 5 rebounds, 1 assist from Jeremy Grant, 16 points Anthony Simmons, 13 points from Shaden Sharp, and 10 points from Nusich Nurkic. For the Timberwolves, 32 points, 7 rebounds, and 3 assists from Anthony Edwards, 17 points, 12 rebounds, and 1 assist from Rudy Gobert, 11 points, Teron Prince, 9 points from D'Angelo Russell, and Jaden McDaniel, 8 points, 2 rebounds, and 2 assists. As, like I said, the Timberwolves get the dub, trying to get back on it. They're without the big cat, Anthony Towns, as he recovers from his injury suffered earlier in the year. Fortunately, they got Rudy Gobert, even though they're not the same type. They're not the same type of player, but he is there. He can be formidable if you give him more of a defensive a defensive pressure for the most part. So it's a little bit different. Now, as we get into the latter games, 4 games left. Some that had a little different flair of it. One, the New York Nets, correction, Brooklyn Nets. I'm so sorry. The Brooklyn Nets were hosted by Chicago Bulls. We all know Brooklyn on a 12-game win streak currently. So, of course, as much was expected of that, especially with the Bulls, who were on who haven't been great this year. Let's just be honest. Although they have stringed together over 15 wins, you probably think that Brooklyn, with their streak, was going to be victorious, in which they weren't. Of course, the Bulls get the win, 121-112. Snapping the 12-game win streak of the Nets. Even though the Nets were led by Kevin Durant's 44 points, 4 rebounds, and 5 assists, 25 points, 4 rebounds, and 86 from Kyrie Irving, 22 points, 1 rebound, and 2 assists from Seth Curry, also contributing. Nick Claxton 11.6 rebounds and 6 assists. It wasn't enough to beat the Bulls, as they was led by 3 players with 22 points apiece. What's good, Coach Richardson? I'm glad to see your information this morning. Glad to have you with us, sir. Hope everything is going bright and good. I know you're doing your planning and make sure everything is good to go as y'all start to watch and peep these teams that's playing in these tournaments and playing these meaningful games. So you can start sending out invitations for nationals this year. As well as y'all tournaments in which y'all run. Like I said, 3 players, 20 points apiece for the Bulls, led by DeMar DeRozan's 22 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists. Patrick Williams, 22 points, 7 rebounds, 2 assists. 21 points, 13 rebounds, and 3 assists from Nikola Vucevic. 17 points, 7 rebounds, and 1 assist for Domansu. Domansu, as I watched, he was putting in work. Being pesky, just being a bother. 13 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists from Zach LaVine, and 10 points, 2 rebounds, 10 assists for Kobe White, as they had 6 players in double figures, in which those double figures allowed them to be victorious, get the win, like I said, 121-112, snapping the Nets 12-game loser streak. Of course, nothing to hang the head down from, which isn't bad at all. Another game last night, 3 more games left from last night. The Sacramento Kings, we just talked about them, hot streaking Sacramento Kings, played against what we just talked about. Figured they was a low-lying, underachieving squad in the Atlanta Hawks. But the Hawks pulled that out. They must have heard us and like, hold my beer, got to show y'all something. The Hawks get the win 120-117. Improving to 18-20, still 2 games under 500. The Kings 20-17, led by De'Aaron Fox's 25 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists. Kevin Huerter 24 points, 3 rebounds, 5 assists. 22 points, 4 rebounds, 1 assist from Harrison Barnes. Keegan Murray 8.7 rebounds, 1 assist, and 20 points, 14 rebounds, and 8 assists from Domantas Sabonis. Malik Monk committed 9 points, 3 rebounds, 5 assists. So, funny thing, right? Kevin Huerter used to be in Atlanta. I think it was a decision made for them to re-sign and pay Kevin Hunter and let Kevin Huerter walk in the process. Kevin Huerter is putting up the numbers like he's a second or third option in Sacramento, which presumably is making, outside the fact that we know Sabonis is making them better, Huerter is contributing. That was obviously making a huge step for the Sacramento Kings, as they are currently in contention in the playoff right now without having to be in the play-in. Atlanta, on the other hand, seemingly struggling. they let these players, they let them go. They pulled Brogdon, DeJounte Murray, and what we thought was going to be a formidable, huge change in the backcourt for them in Atlanta, in which it really isn't producing, in my opinion. I have to do a little more look in depth so I could be exact. But basically, that's what you have. And that is like interesting. I ain't gonna say crazy, interesting. He's a professional, so he's expected to do those things, but he has really turned it around. Or maybe this is who he was. He just wasn't getting a chance in Atlanta. But he's definitely making an impact in Sacramento. So that's the type of stuff I like to see. The Hawks, 4 players with 20 points or more, which is alluded that helped them to get this win. John Collins, 12 points, 12 rebounds, 3 assists on the night. DeAndre Hunter, 22 points, 8 rebounds, 1 assist, 21 points apiece from Trey Young with 6 assists to go along, and DeJounte Murray, 21 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, 8 points, 7 rebounds, and 1 assist from Onyeka Okongwu, and 5 points, 1 rebound, and 2 assists for AJ Griffin. As we said, lastly, 17 points, 8 rebounds, and 3 assists for Bogdan Bogdanovic, who assisted in getting the win in in Sacramento last night by a score of 117 to 120. Who else we got? Two more games. Of course, I say the best for last. But in case the Golden State Warriors played at home. Now, Golden State is pretty unbeatable when it comes to them playing at home. If they could play all their games at home, they probably would be excellent. But on this night, against what was perceived to be an inferior team in the Detroit Pistons, things are a little bit different. They actually tied the game up. Klay Thompson's had a 3-pointer that he was made, in which he tied the game up at 119 apiece. So he just knew it was going to be another night, probably going to overtime, maybe giving Klay Thompson a chance to add to what he already scored: 30 points, 2 rebounds, and 3 assists. 24 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists from Jordan Poole, and which I think at this point they was just looking at like, okay, we're here now. Let's let's go in and finish this off. Anthony Lamb, 17 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, 18 points from Ty Jerome. Contributions, Dante DiVincenzo, 5 points, 5 points from Patrick Baldwin Jr., Moses Mosley, 8 points, 2 rebounds, 4 assists. Draymond Green, 8 rebounds, 7 assists, and Kevin Looney, 8 points, 15 rebounds, and 2 assists. But in state is the Pistons is like, we don't believe in fairy tales, and we don't have time to this. Let's finish this up. As with 1 second remaining in regulation, Sadiq Bey, a 3-point wing, a wing 3-pointer, knocks down with 1 second, getting the win. 17 points, 3 rebounds, and 1 assist on his night, with that game winner that gave Detroit the W, 122 to 119 over the Golden State Warriors at home. Bojan Bogdanovic, 29 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists, 18 points, 11 rebounds from Jalen Darren. Isaiah Stewart, 13.7 rebounds and 1 assist. 12.6 rebounds, 5 assists by Jaden Ivey. 17.3 rebounds, 1 assist. Sadiq Bey, as I said, 15 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists from Alec Burke. Additionally, Isaiah Stewart, I guess you could say, I don't think it was by design, but he did have I guess you could say, intangible moment when him and Draymond Green got into a bit of a scuffle, pulling and yanking on one another, in which they both were teed up. But that became Draymond Green's second technical of the game, which of course resulted in him being ejected for the game. And of course, him being ejected left them without one of their stars, and that could have been the difference in the game as well. With the win, the Detroit Pistons break the 10-game mark, and now 11-30 on the year. The Golden State Warriors just one game above 500 at 20-19 with their loss. And lastly, last night, the Los Angeles Lakers hosted the Miami Heat, in which after two back-to-back 40-point games by LeBron James, it is said that he had a non-COVID illness, which did not allow him to be present and play. Of course, the Lakers are already currently without Anthony Davis, as well as Lonnie Walker IV. So they were kind of shorthanded in last night's game. For the Heat, of course, they had all their people, including Bam Adebayo, 30 points, 13 rebounds, 3 assists. Jimmy Butler, 27 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists. 12 points, 5 assists, and 7 rebounds for Victor Oladipo. Kyle Lowry, 11 points, 2 rebounds, 4 assists. Kyler Hero, 9 points, 4 rebounds, and 3 assists. For the top scorers and contributors in Miami, the Lakers, without a LeBron, AD, or Lonnie, led by an unsuspected player, Dennis Schroeder, 32 points, 4 rebounds, and 2 assists, 21 points apiece from Russell Westbrook and Thomas Bryant, 9 rebounds, 1 assist for Thomas Bryant, 8 rebounds, 9 assists for Russell Westbrook, 11 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, Austin Reeves, Wayne Gabriel, 10 points, 4 rebounds, Patrick Beverly, 4 points, 1 rebounds, 3 assists. In any case, the Lakers, which is greater, the Lakers walk away with the W, 109-112, improving to 17-21 on the season. The Miami Heat just one game above 500 with 20-19 with the loss. Right now, as we sit up and look at it, in the East, your top teams, of course, Boston still holding on to the number 1 seed, stranglehold, kind of like so to speak, in the East at the 26-12. Basically, one game separates the top 3 in the East, with the Bucks coming in second at 25-13. The Nets as well, 25-13. The Cavaliers, what's good? Alita, how you doing this morning? Glad to see you in formation with us. Hope your morning is going gracious. The Cleveland Cavaliers, 25-14 with a game and a half behind the Celtics. Bring up the rest of the field. The 76ers, 23-14. New York Knicks, 21-18. At number 7, the Pacers. Hold on 1 second. I'm sorry about that. So sorry. But yeah, where was it? Oh, the 76ers number 6 in the East. Number 7, the Pacers at number 8. The Heat 9, the Hawks, and 10, the Chicago Bulls. Of course, when you look on the outside of that, that's what you see. Number 7 through 8 or 10 being the play-in crew. What's good? How you doing, Commissioner Myers? Glad to see you information with us. Ron, fam, what's good, bro? How you been doing, man? I hope everything's going okay with you. We have to get up and talk. But yeah, number 7 through 10 being the Chicago, being the play-in. Number 1 through 6, I guess you could say guaranteed in league for that. Bringing up the rear, of course, the last person in the East, who is the Charlotte Hornets, are currently 16 and a half games out of first place, getting to the halfway mark in the league, which basically means potentially, if all things were to fall in their favor, they could climb out of that 16 and a half hole and be the number 1 seed. With that, they're basically 7 games behind, being in the 10 slot to have an opportunity to play in the playoff. On the other side of the coin, in the Western Conference, the Denver Nuggets and Memphis Grizzlies are tied at the top of the West, both with 24 and 13 records. Only a half a game ahead of the New Orleans Pelicans at the 3rd seed. The Dallas Mavericks bringing in at number 4. At number 5, the Sacramento Kings. Number 6, the Los Angeles Clippers, in which then the play-in teams. Number 7, the Portland Trailblazers. At 8, the Phoenix Suns. At 9, the Golden State Warriors. And at 10, the Utah Jazz. The 10th seed is basically, or the 10th spot is currently 6.5 games out of the first place seed. The 15th ranked Rockets, 14.5 games behind the Rockets, which puts them only 8 games behind the Jazz. Of course, the Lakers currently sitting in the 12th spot, 7.5 games out of first place, but only 1 game out of the 10th spot. So we could see, especially when we get when LeBron James gets back in the fray, although the Lakers are on a 3-game win streak, you feel a little easier with LeBron back. Of course, whenever AD comes back, that will make a difference as they can get their big man to wreak havoc. Probably missing 20 points, at minimum 20 points, and 7 rebounds a game. And Anthony Davis, so he's definitely going to be warranted when he comes back, so they can get back to making the push. They were on their way, keeping pace behind the Golden State Warriors before Anthony Davis went out. So of course, it's going to be warranted and definitely waiting for him to get him back, so he can get back into the fray of things. So of course, we don't want to dilly-dally around with it too much, due to the fact of he's a contributor. He's a huge part of our offense, and without him, he's a huge part of the team. And without him, it's a little bit different. So we just basically see that. Matter of fact, maybe talk about something. Currently, we know this year potentially, LeBron James can or may be, by the end of the year, in the NBA's all-time leading scorer. Where is it at? So of course, via the ESPN, they have a ESPN LeBron tracker to keep everyone adept in where LeBron is on his on this feat, in which is expected to happen. I think the last time I seen it, he was expected to do it by February the 11th. What's good, Roosevelt? How you doing, bro? What's good, home, big homie? What's going on, man? Glad to see you information with us this morning, bro. Where are we at? Oh, I can't find it all of a sudden. Ain't that something? But in case I think the last I seen, because he hasn't played since the last game, 485 points needed to break the record, which he would have to average, I think, 27 points a game over the course of the next 11 games. And to no, that's not sound right. But it is, I think it said 11 games, which he, or February 11th is when they expect him to break the record. So I don't know if that's where he's at. If do we foresee it being that? But of course we continue to watch. 20 years in the game, 38 years old, still playing like he's like he's in his mid 20s. Your hat's got to be off to him, even if you do or don't think he is the greatest of all time, or that he is considered a GOAT. In which I was watching my man Cornelius, or CC as y'all know it, the People's Coach, on his show, The Die Hard Fan, last night, in which it was something that came up, which he talked about how Pele, we talking about him last week after he passed away, even last week or earlier this week, in which we looked at Pele and talked about Pele, and Pele is far between considered the GOAT, right? In soccer, football for in other countries, but soccer in our country, he's considered the GOAT. Now we know that you got the Rolandos, you got the Messis, you got Lanure, and all them type of stuff that are word-known players, but none of them consider themselves the GOAT, because that is a distinction that belongs to the one and only Pele. Of course, interestingly enough, is a little bit different in the States. Though it seemed like Michael Jordan should be the distinction of the GOAT and the lone GOAT in the sport of basketball, and held so as the majority of players. But you have some that don't contribute that to him, or you have even fans that don't contribute that to him due to they have people in their era, LeBron's era, the kids that came up watching him, considering him the GOAT. Some the same for Kobe, maybe some for Steph, maybe some for Magic or Bird is like the GOAT. But I think the litness is when you have the players that are in question that basically hand it over, whether it be a humbling moment or they just capping and they call particular players a GOAT and saying that has to count for something. So I'm starting to get behind the whole aspect of who's the GOAT and who isn't the GOAT. Like over the course since I've been doing this over a little over a year now, having to do a little more analyzing and taking a look at things, I really start to change and evolve in my conversation and my thought in reference to this. Like I've kind of switched my thoughts and stuff in reference to the late Kobe Bryant and certain things. Same thing about Tom Brady. Same thing about LeBron James as well as Michael Jordan. But I just thought that was interesting when we look at how LeBron is chasing Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's record, which was initially thought to not be able to be touched. And right before us now, he's literally weeks from potentially breaking it unless something was to happen to him before he gets to that feat. And it adds to the resume of LeBron James. I'm not going to say the resume of considering him the GOAT, but it definitely adds to the resume. Now, I think what would be definitive, and of course, correct me if you're out there if I'm wrong, I think what would be what would lock it down is in those moments. Or I ask a question, if anyone's out there. If LeBron had won 7 of those championships, would he be considered the GOAT? Would the conversation switch? Would it be a different rhetoric in reference to LeBron the GOAT or Air Jordan the GOAT. If he had won 7 or 8 of those championships in which he went to, would he be considered a GOAT? Would the conversation be different? Just a food for thought. I was just wondering that. As I continue, let's take a look at what the NBA, what ESPN has for the power ranking. What are they saying when it comes to these power rankings? Who's tops? Who's at the bottom of their list? Currently, who sits at the bottom of the list? Number 30, the Detroit Pistons, expected 10-30 on the year. The Charlotte Hornets bring it up at number 29. That's got to be hard for the Hornets. As you know, the Hornets was just a playoff team last year. Currently, they sit at the bottom of the standings, 10-28 with a 29 power ranking. The Houston Rockets at number 28. At number 27, the San Antonio Spurs. Bringing up the rear at 26, Orlando Magic. I think that's predominantly the Magic and the Rockets for the most part, are young teams that are basically going to have to develop and build upon maybe a couple of more pieces. San Antonio, in that case, is just a team that is lacking a clear definitive superstar or other quote unquote dogs, as we say, that could contribute and help them. Keldon Johnson's consistent, going at it and going out there and get it, but they're lacking something. I think San Antonio is going to have to do a complete overhaul or really get some people into the organization to climb back out that hole. At number 25, the Oklahoma City Thunder. 24, the Chicago Bulls, which is a very disappointment thinking about what they have in their team. You got Vucevic, Levine, and DeMar DeRozan. Then you have Amonsu, Kobe White, Patrick Williams. You should be seeing more out of Chicago Bulls. So that's in my opinion, that's disappointing at 24. The Toronto Raptors coming in at number 23 in the power ranking. At number 22, the Minnesota Timberwolves. Of course, we know they're without their leader in Karl Anthony Towns, which I think was the idea of bringing Rudy Gobert there was based on the fact of Towns was going to be there and that they were going to be a 1-2 punch, or Gobert was going to be able to supplement in that lineup. Gobert is not a Towns, and they don't have the same attributes. So the 22 in the power ranking is, of course, understood, but you would have thought better on that team. No different from the Lakers, who come in at number 21. At number 20, the Washington Wizards. At 19, the Atlanta Hawks. Same story. At number 18, surprisingly, the Utah Jazz. That's surprisingly due to the fact we would figure they would have been down further, but they did start off with a pretty good season start. Lauri Markkanen showed that him being bounced from Chicago to, where did Markkanen go after that? To Utah, is effective, very effective. He's putting on there. At number 17, the New York Knicks. The Portland Trailblazers come in at number 16. At 15, the Phoenix Suns. Number 14, defending champion Golden State Warriors come in 14th in the power rankings. At number 13, the Indiana Pacers. At number 12, the Miami Heat. Number 11, the Sacramento Kings. As we get to the top 10, the Los Angeles Clippers holding on to the 10th spot, 21-18 in the West. The Dallas Mavericks at number 9. At number 8, the New Orleans Pelicans. At number 6, the Philadelphia 76ers. Cleveland's number 6 in the ESPN power rankings. At number 5, the Milwaukee Bucks. 4, the Memphis Grizzlies. 3, the Denver Nuggets. At number 2, the Brooklyn Nets. And number 1 currently in this edition of the ESPN's power ranking, the NBA, the Boston Celtics holding on 26-12. Holding on, as I said, definitely holding on, as they the other night just lost to the 76ers, the Milwaukee Bucks. So that was unexpected. So I'm sure they're going to continue to keep an eye on that and see. I did find the tracker. So at this point, LeBron James sits at 37,903 points 485 points short of the record, which is projected to use 18 games to catch this record, to take this record down. He currently is projected to do this on the 9th of February of this year. So just a month from now, actually. Interesting enough. I was hoping initially that he was going to do it on the 4th of February so I could be in the building as the Lakers will be in New Orleans to play against the Pelicans. So maybe it's still a possibility. We'll probably try to go pull up to that game just in case. Of course, like I said, his last game he played against the Charlotte Hornets, in which he scored 43 points. Over the course of his last 5 games, he's put together a 38-point game against the Mavericks on Christmas Day, 28 points on the 27th against the Magic, 27 points against the Heat, 47 points against the Hawks, and 43 points against the Hornets. You know, that 47-point game was I think the Heat was the 27-point was his 38th birthday. So now he didn't play last night, so he missed another opportunity. In which that probably pushed, but we continue to watch and see. His next game would be against the Atlanta Hawks, in which he has a career average of 28 points in those series. His game high 48 points. Not saying that he's going to put together those type of numbers, but it remains to be seen. Of course, today's games put the Memphis Grizzlies take their swing at the Orlando Magic in Orlando. The Dallas Mavericks will host the Boston Celtics. Will we see any Luka Magic on this night? The Houston Rockets play host to the Utah Jazz. And lastly, the Denver Nuggets host the Los Angeles Clippers. Only 4 games slated for tonight. So check out all your NBA action. And we'll be able to talk about it tomorrow. Moving on back into the NFL. So, of course, staying with the whole Darman Hamlin situation. Safety for the Buffalo Bills suffered cardiac arrest on the field on Monday night after tackling T. Higgins, which he stood up, fell back out, and had to be resuscitated on the field, which the teams went ahead and have been a little distraught. Of course, services have been offered for teams. Any team has offered services, as Hamlin was a brother in the fraternity of NFL players. And of course, he's being looked at and held upon, so it could be effective to anyone, because that could have been any one of the players. So yesterday, one of the things that came about is Zach Taylor, head coach of the Cincinnati Bengals, who the Buffalo Bills were playing that night, basically came out and spoke and said he earned a certain new respect for Coach McDermott, as Coach McDermott has stated that he needed to be at the hospital, get to the hospital to be there with his player. And that was the only thing that seemed to be on his mind. Coach Zach Taylor said he witnessed and understood some of the things in which Coach McDermott was going through, as there was a decision possibly trying to be made in reference to what was going to go on with the rest of the game once Hamlin was removed from the field. They looked around. He said the officials came over and speak to him. He watched and seen McDermott's reaction, so he walked across the field to go and congregate with the officials and Coach McDermott and all that. Now, there was always or continues to is a rhetoric out there that the NFL, although they spoke differently, that they were going to be that they it was said that it was never in question whether the game will start or not. For when you look at it, you look and you see at some point the offenses and the defenses, the offense and the defense get back on the field after the ambulance clears the field. On the sideline, you see Joe Burrow tossing the ball, throwing the ball, and warming up. And it said now has came out to say that was more of a situation to where that's the usual what they do when after an injury timeout or a medical timeout or a medical break. They get offenses, defense come back on the field, and you go from there until what you said. Then you can see players being called off or pulled off the field because at that point they were trying to see what was it they're going to do. The NFL never said that they were looking at starting or continuing the game as it was currently in suspension at that time frame. And now it's currently still in postponement. There still hasn't been any clear rhetoric or decision made on how they were going to move forth. Are they going to reschedule the game? Are they going to what are they going to do? I don't even foresee it's formatted for them to reschedule the game or replay the game, or even are they going to or even hell for this point, is Buffalo going to play their last game of the season, in which the NFL said they will do a collective meeting with Coach McDermott and his staff and the owner of the Buffalo Bills to find out what their temperament is and do they feel that they need to play said game. So there's plenty of that still left to unravel. Currently, Hamlin's still in the hospital. They said his condition is getting better. However, that he still needs to remain in the hospital for to continue to remain in the ICU to be evaluated. So, but they said he's progressing, and at this point, it's just a wait. It's a waiting. I don't want to say waiting game, but at this point, we're just waiting. Excuse me. I'm so sorry. So, of course, more to come with that. Of course, you can catch that anywhere on any of the outlets, CNN, ESPN, Fox, in reference to NFL, in reference to what's going on with Hamlin and his condition, and of course, what their decisions are going to be made in reference to that game as they get close to, as we're in the last week of the NFL season before the playoffs are due to start. And there's holding pattern is really something because it really is putting an effect and a strain when you take in consideration, let's say the Buffalo. Well, I don't want to sound insensitive or be misinterpreted, but they have teams that are just on standby. From the business aspect of it, you still have the Baltimore Ravens, who are scheduled to play the Cincinnati Bengals on Sunday, in which there's ramifications for the game. If the Ravens are able to beat the Bengals, that puts them a half a game behind the Bengals for their division title. However, if the Bengals are awarded a tie or a win from that contest with the Buffalo Bills, the game in which the Baltimore Ravens are supposed to play on Sunday becomes irrelevant in a sense because they can't win a division. So it's a whole complete change of the mindset. Maybe do we play certain players? Do we not play certain players? Because at this point we can't win the division title. We're in the playoffs already. That was meant 2 weeks ago. So it's one of those things. So that is a holding pattern that you have for them on the other side of the spectrum. The Bills are chasing and trying to make sure they're good in their situation. But they might not even play their game. So with that case, they will be 2 games short. So there's a lot that comes right on this, and it's just a thing where at some point maybe the business model is going to have to move on. Anthony saying this game would change if it cancel the game, you're going to get a Ravens and Chiefs division. Correct. And well, the Chiefs is going to get the division anyway, but you give you get the Chiefs the number one home field advantage throughout the course of the playoffs. If you tie it, because it gives them they need definitively. It needs to be understood because, like you said, if they play the game, Cincinnati beats Buffalo, the Chiefs become the number one in the division, and the Bengals become their division champions, and the Chiefs become the conference number one seed. If Buffalo loses, if Buffalo wins, Buffalo stays in contention for the number one seed, and now the Bengals playing the Ravens puts them in position to on a win or go home scenario. Well, not go home, win, or you go to the fifth seed scenario in the AFC. So that's what happens if the games don't go on and they give a tie or a win to Cincinnati. Kansas City becomes number one in the division. I mean, in the conference. The Cincinnati Bengals clinch their division and secure a 1 through 4, I think a 3 through 4 seed, and that's where we're at. So a lot of ramifications, different things going on in that fact of the matter. Additionally, another focus is starting to develop and brew. When you look at the Raiders, Las Vegas Raiders, high hopes for them, of course, when you look at the fact of them getting Devontae Adams. Much has been said about Derek Carr and how he governs his offense, and you just thought there was going to be a huge turnaround, and that was just going to be a whole battle. The AFC East, AFC West, supposed to be the premier division with Patrick Mahomes there. The building of a defense in Los Angeles, the Chargers, the Las Vegas Raiders picking up players. Denver Broncos even brought in Russell Wilson. So you just thought that, without a reasonable doubt, that the AFC West is going to be that power conference. We thought the AFC West is going to be what the NFC East was this year, and that did not become the situation. Now, currently in Las Vegas, the grumblings and talks of Derek Carr not being there are starting to surface. And you just had Devontae Adams come out and say that he's not going anywhere. Yes, the main reason for him coming to Las Vegas was to play with his childhood friend or his buddy, Derek Carr, and in which now, like I said, Derek Carr has talked about he may not be there next year. When Devontae Adams wants to assure that he lets it be known that he doesn't plan on going anywhere. As a kid growing up in Oakland, it was his lifelong dream to play for the Raiders, regardless of how they're the Las Vegas Raiders. They went from the Oakland Raiders to the Los Angeles Raiders, back to the Oakland Raiders again, to now the Las Vegas Raiders, and now they're in and he's a Raider. So that's been his lifelong dream. So he said he's not going to give up that part of his dream because his boy is gone. He understands the business. He would like it to be Derek and hope that they can work something out. But if not, that doesn't change what he's got going on. So the chemistry he feels like is there with him, Josh Jacobs, Zay, and all of them. So it remains to be seen. I don't think they're going to go. I mean, it has to be a hell of a deal. It has to really be something tantalizing out there. But of course, when you get certain coaches, they have an idea of what they want as their quarterback. And maybe for Josh Daniels, it's not Derek Carr. So maybe definitely Carr is going to be shipped up and moved and packed up and moved out. But of course, we won't start to know that until at least a month or two from now. Probably so. That might not be a bad connection. I don't know. Is Ron Rivera ready to have a Derek Carr? Derek Carr actually probably be good a couple of places when you look at it. Tampa Bay is probably going to need a quarterback. Washington. I'm not gonna say Denver. I don't know. Maybe Seattle might kick the tires on somebody, even though Junior has been pretty good, good enough, making the Pro Bowl. But Seattle might kick the tires on somebody. Carolina potentially, even if they don't want to use Sam Darnold, Carolina could be a squad. Houston is still out there. I think Carr will follow his brother's footsteps and go to Houston. If it open, I think Houston would be the play. I would like to see him in Houston to see if he can make a difference. Um, who else is out there? Yeah, I think those teams for the most part. New York Jets. Maybe there could be a switch between the Jets. Maybe it could be a switch between we all know Danny Dimes is due to his contract is up. He didn't get an extension, so Daniels out of New York, that the Giants, that could be a potential situation. So it's a lot of suitors, I think. And you got to think there's still other players like Tennessee. I think they said Tennessee wants to move on from Tannehill, so you still have there Atlanta. So you have people where it might be some rounds going around. You still got Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be on the market. Baker Mayfield back on the market again. Without a deal, Sam Darnold was going to be on the market. So it remains to be seen. We'll see. Lamar Jackson. So some people that ain't got deals. So it might go down. Excuse me, I'm so sorry. So what else we have? What else we have? So the Packers, right? As we know, the Packers need to get one W or this last W, and they're in. That's all. It does no scenario except for winning, you're in. However, the Lions are treating this like it's a playoff game. The Lions with the opportunity to become the to get into their first game, to get into the playoffs in what is a long drought. They come a long way, going 4 and what was it, 4-12, 4-12, or 4-11-1 in their 4-11-1 in their first season. 3-1, 3-14 last year, and now here they are on the cusp of getting to the playoffs. It started to look. I don't know. Can Green Bay knock off Detroit? Detroit has a whole different mindset. I think Detroit has more that they got going on. You would think initially that Detroit doesn't have the enough experience from previous seasons or from players that have been in this position before, to where you almost omit the fact of their very own quarterback in Jared Goff was in a Super Bowl just not too long ago. So it might not. I mean, he's not an Aaron Rodgers, but it's not like Aaron Rodgers has a large amount of other players who are experienced or have experienced this as well in the playoffs. But advantage Rodgers, advantage Lambeau Field, and advantage that bad man in a certain situations. We say, what are the lines good at running back? Well, we want to see so true that, Anthony, that is, but also in the defense of the Lions, they have a 2 or 3 headed monster when it comes to a backfield. Well, I think that gives them an advantage. You got Swift, you got Williams, and I forgot the other running back that they have. So they're not shabby at running back. Said Lamar not leaving. Zeke and Cowboys are going to hold out for. You might be right. Lamar's probably not going anywhere, but it was just wishful thinking. But yeah, so I potentially I think that Green Bay can lose this game to Detroit, and Detroit can put themselves in position to get in. Detroit can play spoiler, and while Detroit is playing spoiler, they can put them in position so they can get into uh, the playoffs. Of course, for them to get into the playoffs, they have to get the W, and they need Seattle to lose to who's Seattle playing? Is it the Rams? I think Seattle plays the Rams. Or whoever Seattle plays, they need them to lose to. So it's not just a win and end situation for Detroit. They need to win, and then they need Seattle to lose in order for them to be able to walk into the playoffs. But it's a possibility. I like their chances. It was found out that Cardinals quarterback Murray will not likely he's already out for this season. It's a possibility that he won't even start the beginning of next season, in which maybe that might save the job of Cliff Kingsbury, or it could be the nail in the coffin for him. It remains to be seen. I personally think that Cliff Kingsbury is going to be out at the beginning of the season, or before the end of the season, or maybe even at the end of the season, so they can start their quarterback search, or their head coach search. But I could be wrong. Also out, Justin Fields will remain out for the tomorrow of the game versus who are they playing? I can't see who they're playing. I don't see what they're playing at. They're going to remain. He's going to remain out just on the cusp of the fact that Justin Fields had the possibility of breaking Lamar Jackson's record of 1,200 yards rushing for a quarterback, as he gained 132 yards over the last game versus Detroit, in which he rushed for 105 yards in the first quarter alone, in which that's the record for the most yards rushed by a quarterback in the first quarter, 105 yards, in which he was basically 132 yards short. Correction. He was 64 yards short of breaking that record. But of course, he has a hip flexor injury, which is going to basically derail him from even possibly breaking that record. It's just one of those things in which you have to come. The good comes with the bad. But the difference is he gets to come back. He'll come back and potentially do it again next year and see if he can add to that mystique of him being maybe the elite dual threat quarterback of our day and age. So the NFL has dropped the list for the finalists of the Hall of Fame. Like we always talk and have conversations about the Hall of Fame, who's a Hall of Famer, should this person be a Hall of Famer, and whatnot. Usually there's about 8 to 9 players inducted into the Hall of Fame in different categories. Already, one of the categories is going to be the senior finalist category, which is of current finalists is Ken Riley, Chuck Howley, and Joe Klecko in that sense. For the coaches and contributors committee or finalists, Don Coryell is probably most likely going to be the person in which in those categories it's a matter of a yes or no basis. So if all 4 of those players get yeses, then we already know Ken Riley, Chuck Howley, and Joe Klecko will be Hall of Famers. Don Coryell gets a Hall of Fame nod. However, there are 15 finalists for the modern day player, which is held for 25 years. You can be a modern day player in which you stay in that category. After that, you go into the senior category, and now you're in a pool of players willing to be pulled up out of. So currently, for the 15 players that are looking to be voted on, and of course the votes will be revealed in February. Who is going the 5 players that are going to be going to the Hall of Fame for the modern era this year. So there's 15 names. So that means 10 of these guys are going to be told, nope, not your year. Try again next year or come back next year. Of course, first year ballots that are on the finalist list. Joe Thomas, we all know him, 10-time Pro Bowler selection at offensive tackle, 6-time first teamer, 6-time first team all pro, 10-time Pro Bowler. So he's May got that on lock. He's probably a lock in for that. Additionally, you also got Mr. Revis Island himself, Daryl Revis, defensive end Dwight Freeney, are 3 first year balloters for this year. And then of course you have cornerback Albert Lewis, who has been on the list for 25 years. The last time he played was in 1998. And now he's looking to get instituted into the Hall of Fame, as he is in his last year eligibility for the modern era player, in which if he doesn't make it this year, he's going to become a senior player, in which he may make it next year. Of course, bringing out the field, the other 10 players or 11 players. Jared Allen, defensive end. You know, he played with the last played with the Minnesota Vikings. Willie Anderson, offensive tackle. Another Cleveland Brown. Rondé Barber, cornerback. Devin Hester, wide receiver, kick returner. Yes, Joey Brown was a Brown. Devin Hester, wide receiver, kick returner. Torrey Holt, wide receiver. Andre Jackson, wide receiver. Last played with the I think Tennessee Titans or Houston, or his fame came from Houston. Zach Thomas, linebacker, Miami Dolphins. DeMarcus Ware, defensive end, the Dallas Cowboys and the Denver Broncos. Reggie Wayne, Indianapolis Colts. Patrick Willis, San Francisco 49ers, and Darren Woodson, Dallas Cowboy. So of this group, the only person that was not on the finalists list last year is Darren Woodson. All the other players, except for the players who were first year balloters, have been on this finalist list. And yet you add 3 players that potentially are going to be first year balloters. Derek Reeves might get the nod. Joe Thomas might get the nod. That only leaves 3 positions left to for a modern day player. So of this list, who are we looking at? Who gets into the Hall of Fame? What's good? What's good, Zach? How you doing, brother? Glad to see you information this morning. Who gets into the Hall of Fame at this point? Of course, you know I'm Patrick Willis just deserves to get in my opinion. He should be in, even though he played in a short amount of time, he did a lot. So Patrick Willis, does Patrick Willis get the nod? Is he going to be one of the 5? Darrell Revis, Patrick Willis, Joe Thomas, DeMarcus Ware. I don't know. I think Jarek Allen has a chance. He deserves it. Hall of Fame, you are top when it comes to your brethren That's my assertion of what it is. You are, of all the great players that are out there, you are perceived to be one of the greatest players. You're the greatest of the greatest players. That's what the Hall of Fame says to me. So that's what it says. That's the assertion to me. Donovan says Reggie Wayne, Darren Woodson, Patrick Willis, Joe Thomas, and the senior. Well, senior won't get in regardless, so that's guaranteed. So there's still one. Oh, unless you're talking about Albert Lewis finally getting in. Joe Thomas was a top player. So that's why I said Joe Thomas might be, he's going to be one of the first. I think Joe Thomas and Darrell Reeves are going to be first year balloters. I do think that. Dwight Feeney, I don't know. And then Willis, I think Willis gets in this year. I think Ware and Willis gets in. But then there could be a play made for Zach Thomas. Torrey Holt, this is his 5th year as a ballot, as being a finalist. Of course, in his 4th year. So in 4 years of being a finalist, does this put him in position finally? Is it his call? Does he finally get the call? But he's up against some stiff competition. And then what's odd, and of course, is like every year, potentially you have a new person that's coming in that potentially was better, or some of the ones that didn't get the nod that were first times coming in last year. Now they're in play for the following year when there was a finalist on the first ballot. But I think Revis gets in. I think Revis gets in. Thomas gets in. Willis gets in. Ware gets in. And Allen gets in. So that's 2 offensive players. That's 1 offensive player, 4 defensive players for the modern era. Willis, Ware, Thomas, Revis. Yes, Revis changed the game. Patrick Willis. Yeah, he was the top one. No, so last year I think was D Ware's first year on the ballot, in which he was a finalist, but he didn't get in. So I think he gets in this year. He's not first ballot, but he was a first ballot last year, and he didn't get in, but he was a finalist. So I think this is his year. He gets in. So I think Ware, Allen, Willis, Revis, Thomas are the gets in this year. Just my research. I think that's what happens. I think that's where we're going with it. So unfortunately today I have to get to an appointment. But in any case, y'all know where to find me tomorrow, Friday. We get to making. Oh, hold on, Zach. Let me see. Revis, Willis have a great chance. Yes, they do. I think Willis gets in this year. I really think he gets in this year. But like I said, I have the appointment I have to get to tomorrow. You know, being Friday, got to make the picks for Saturday and Sunday. So we'll see that, which we'll be on our last bit for the preseason, and then get to. I made my way last year on picking the making my picks for the games in the playoffs, which I hope to bring that assertion back. Currently, between me, Ron, and Bishop, on the whole year, we're about 60% with our voting. So. And that's the whole year. So we'll see how it goes. Ron is currently in the lead. He's pretty far out there. He would have to just basically have a whole bad picking week in order to be caught. So we'll definitely make those picks tomorrow. Talk about that. Get those picks out there so we can see what everyone's saying. Myself, Bishop, Ron, for the last 16 games of the season, and then we'll go into and get into the playoff picks. So I greatly appreciate y'all rocking with me this morning. Those who fell in with us. Be sure to tap in tomorrow, 0900 hours, or when you're able to, so you can hear what the latest and greatest is in the in NFL, NBA. We're getting ready to drop off and get into the NCAA basketball, as there was a couple of teams, 4 teams that were in the top 3 of the top 25 teams took L last night, including number 4 ranked UConn. Fell off last night. So as we get into talking about that, we get to really getting into it with college basketball, getting ready to increase and full throttle up as that season's coming up. March Madness is going to be crazy. NBA championships will be soon. XFL, USFL games is going to be on deck. So it's going to be a whole vibe. So today, gladly rocking with y'all today. Look forward to seeing y'all tomorrow. Enjoy your weekend eve. Get the work done, getting ready for the weekend. Finish up the first week of the new year in grand fashion and set the precedence for what the rest of your week will be like. It's your boy Trey. And I'm out. E2G Sports Network represent. Catch their shows. Holla. 1.